Welcome back to the editing room. Today I'm going to be taking you through what I've been working on with the RX-7. Now if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. The last time we saw this car, we thought it was running well, we did some work, and it turns out that it was not at all running well. It wouldn't run at all actually after I filmed that video, and so we had to dig right back into it. Now a lot of this footage is kind of spread out over a couple of weeks as I ordered parts and got parts and so on and so forth, so there's not a bunch of talking. It's mostly just me working, and there's gonna be some voiceover, but there are some really good results and I'm excited to share with you guys. Let's jump straight into it and get to work on this car. So what we've got here is the cap, the rotor, the spark plugs, and the spark plug wires. Now these might seem like the very first step. They seem like the most basic parts that you would start with when trying to get a car running. And well, that's because they are. They are the first step. Frankly, I got a little bit distracted. I had tested for spark. It seemed weak, but it seemed like it should run a car. I certainly had spark, and well, I just got a little bit distracted, and this is a great example of keep it simple, start with the easy stuff. Now, as we talked about in the last video, I actually know some of the history of this car, and I know that I myself have put new plugs in this engine before, but I was sitting and watching TV one night, and it just occurred to me, I've never touched the spark plug wires in this car. I've never even opened that distributor cap before. And so I immediately got up and went and looked at Rock Auto, found all these parts for not very much. I went, you know what, screw it. Start with the first step, start with the simple stuff. I've already put fresh gas in it and that didn't help, so we're doing this. And I did. You know, these parts don't take very long, but I was working on the race cards, working on other things, and you know, I wanted to test it piece by piece, and so it took me some time to get this going. But you know, with this replacing part by part, we get to see what might work and what doesn't. All right, I've got new plugs and new plug wires on it. I'm trying to be scientific-ish about this. I've got a new cap and rotor that I will be doing next, but I just want to try it piece by piece and see what makes it run and what doesn't. So we're going to jump in and see if it'll start. So that's what it does now. It just cranks and cranks and cranks. I can smell a ton of raw fuel, so I have good reason to believe there's fuel getting to it. I tested for spark off camera. I tested for spark the old-fashioned way, and it had spark. It looked weak, which is why I'm doing this stuff. Before we get too excited, let's do cap and rotor as one of the last things we can really do right now, and see if anything changes. Brand new cap and rotor are in place. The old ones did look a little corroded, a little messy. In my short time working with rotaries, very sensitive about the ignition systems. The battery has to be fully hot for them to start. So, whatever. Try to start it and see what it does. That is how the thing has always started before now. I cannot believe it. Wow, holy bad cap and rotor. Like I said, rotaries are hypersensitive to their ignition system. It's gotta be perfect. It's gotta be perfect. Okay, so now that we can be reasonably sure the car is going to run and it's going to work well, I had some big concerns about it, just because when it was running before, It had some problems that sometimes point to low compression, and so that was a concern of mine. I think it's good. I think we got a good engine here. So now I would put some coolant in it and try to run it some. Radiator looks like somebody filled it full of mud. So I'm gonna get the radiator out. I wanna flush some clean water through it and get it rinsed out. And then I think I would like to move the car outside and try to flush some clean water through it as well. But we'll have to see. Let's start by getting this radiator out and see if we can clean it up some. Okay, so I'm really glad that we're doing this now because this coolant system is honestly horrifying. I'm gonna have to readdress this later on. This can't be the end of this. I need parts and I don't have them right now, but I do need to clean this system out. Look at this. That is what this cooling system looks like. That is probably throughout the rotor housings. This is the water neck. I'm gonna have to get a water neck. This one is falling apart. It's absolutely horrible. That's the thermostat. I think I'm probably gonna have to get a thermostat. It's probably smart to get a thermostat. At this rate, it's probably smart to get radiator hoses as well because those are crackling as I'm like manipulating them and stuff. So I'm gonna have to get some parts on the way. But for right now, I'm gonna flush this out and I was hoping to put it back together out here in the yard and drive it back in the shop, but I don't know if we're gonna do that now because I don't want to put it back together with all these crappy parts. We'll see. So you can see here that water is super, super dark. I didn't think to grab the camera until after I'd flushed a bunch of water through the system. But the good news is a lot of stuff came out. The bad news is there was a lot of stuff in there. I didn't get any really solid particulate, but man, that water was nasty when it first started flowing. But eventually it flowed clean and I sprayed the rest of the car off and I think it's a good place to be. So that's where we're gonna leave this project for right now. I could not actually get a water neck like I thought I could. I went and searched through some parts cards we have and none of them are really all that better than what's on the car right now. So I decided to go ahead and put the thing back together just so I can get it running and drive it a little bit because other problems are certainly gonna reveal themselves to me. Like this radiator might be leaking, there's signs of that, so I might have to buy a radiator for it anyway and pull the coolant system apart again anyway. So I decided to put the thing back together and get it running. I have run it since then and it's running great. It's idling a little bit high, but it's holding temperature and it's doing really well. So what that means is the next step is a little bit of road testing on this thing and we're gonna get to drive this RX-7 for the first time in a really long time. Stay tuned for that. There's a couple of other off-season videos coming up, but the racing season is coming really quickly, so we're gonna get back to working on the race car as well. Lots of stuff to come. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.